Housing crash of 2022. Is it a possibility or really not so much? There are really four factors that I believe are at play here. Two of them positive, two of them negative. But let's first look at a housing crash. What does that mean to most people? When most people think about a housing crash, we're thinking 2008 housing crash. Houses go back to the bank, massive amount of bank owned properties that are just being repossessed and foreclosed on. So in regards to a housing crash, I do not think that is likely. And we're going to go over these four factors, and then we're going to wrap it up with a kind of a why we believe that, or at least why I believe that. So the two factors that are positive are, one, we have a lot of equity in homes right now. People own their homes. A lot of people own them cash. They own them totally free and clear. And a lot of them, even the ones that have mortgages on their homes, still have a lot of equity. The great thing there is if they have to sell, they can. They don't have to, likely won't be foreclosed on, because even if they had to sell for a little under current market values, it would not be the end of the world. They still would come out with some money at the end. The second thing is that demand for properties is up. And if you've looked at any of the supplies like Lowe's and Home Depot, you've noticed that the cost of building supplies is through the roof. In addition to that, we have labor shortages, which means that even the labor to build these homes is going up. So while that is happening, it is putting a real downward pressure on supply, meaning that the homes that are already available are at a higher demand and value is going to increase for those. The two possible negatives here, we have really enjoyed low interest rates for a long time, but especially the last 2 years. The past 2 years, we've had interest rates that we thought we would never ever see, but here they are. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of people that have been able to afford, let's say, $200,000 home with a lower interest rate now can afford a $250,000 home because it reduced their payments, say, that much. And I'm using random numbers here. Don't pull out your calculator, but you get the idea. Now, the other thing that is a factor here is the foreclosure moratorium. And we've talked about this before, but there are homes that have been foreclosed on or in the process of being foreclosed on, and the government essentially said, no, stop. Everything stops right there. We're not going to proceed with these foreclosures. So we've had 2 years of these homes backlogged. Normally they'd be hitting the market. Now, there is talk that there is a higher amount of people that have been foreclosed on over this period of time. I don't have the stats to back that up, but regardless, even if it was just a normal flow of foreclosures, the fact is that's 2 years worth of foreclosures that could hit the market all at once. Now, is that likely? I don't think so. In all likelihood, the bank is going to roll those out over 6 months or 12-month periods, so it shouldn't be a huge shock to the housing market. And even if they all hit the market at once, it's still probably the demand is high enough that it shouldn't be a major factor. The bigger thing to watch is the interest rates. If interest rates rise to 4.5%, 5.5%, 6%, that could be a serious problem. And with the amount of inflation that we've seen, the Fed has already talked about raising interest rates. They desperately want to, they need to curb that inflation rate right now. So in all likelihood, eventually we have to see higher interest rates. But until the economy is strong enough, the Fed probably is going to hold off on that. So to wrap things up, I believe that we are going to continue to see a moderate amount of growth, but probably not what we've seen and experienced over the past couple years. There's only so much growth that can happen. Now, if the government continues to print money, we see inflation that also kicks in and is a huge factor there. But with interest rates likely to rise, with these foreclosures hitting the market, that should pull the market back to a more normal rate of growth. And that's more likely the situation that we're going to see over the next year to 2 years here. Worst case scenario, a slight pullback in prices, but when I say slight, I really do mean slight. I do not see major crash on the horizon. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope it gives you some information maybe to talk about with some friends and family, as this topic will probably come up as we talk about the economy as a whole, and specifically the housing economy. So if you have questions, always feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help any way we can, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.